Bumrah is back, but after such a long injury absence, will India's pace ace be back to his best by the World Cup? Let's take a closer look. Hello and welcome to Sportsroom. We are joined by Ayaz, who is visibly thrilled by the news of Jasprit Bumrah's return. So in this episode, we will discuss Bumrah's return and also touch upon the India-West Indies tour and also one of the most engaging Ashes series in recent years. So Ayaz, great news for Indian cricket fans this week with the return of Bumrah. But he has also been made captain for the series. So do you think that's a little too much responsibility for his comeback series?
Well, I mean, you could say that would be a lot more onus on him, because first things first, he has to prove himself he is fit to be playing at the international level. That is the top priority for Bumrah, as well as for the cricket board, the selectors, because India needs him primarily or essentially as a bowler, not as a captain. Though he has captained earlier. You might remember that he was captain in the Test match against England last year when Rohit Sharma was unavailable and KL Rahul also was not able to take the captaincy. So he's been captain earlier, but this is a very important series for him, though it's against Ireland, for him as well as for the team, the young players who are going to be under him. A lot of them are aspiring to play not just in T20, but perhaps make an impact, make a mark, and try and squeeze in somehow into the World Cup team. That's not going to be easy. Yeah. But for Bumrah, I think the biggest issue is that in these matches, he has to show that he has recovered completely. And completely in the sense that come October, the World Cup starts, there should be no element of doubt remaining that he's completely fit, because you can't have a half-fit bowler into the squad who then, when the tournament starts, for some reason or the other, he can't play. That is going to be a big letdown and a big setback for India. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be some challenging days ahead for Bumrah.
Yeah. So even if it is against Ireland, after such a long injury layoff, do you think it could be difficult for Bumrah to be at his best, even if it is against Ireland?
Well, I would imagine that if he's available, he's been selected and he's also been made captain, then he's gone through a lot of these tests for fitness, that his fitness levels are high. Because while these are T20 matches, they are extremely demanding, as we know, at the international level. And let's not also forget that while Ireland may not be a very competitive test team, perhaps even not as powerful or as strong in ODIs, but in T20, the number of overs, as it gets fewer, it becomes a more level playing field for teams. So you'll find that Afghanistan, for instance, can pull off a lot of upsets. West Indies, which is struggling so badly in tests and ODIs, can be very dangerous in T20. So Ireland is not just a pushover team. I think it's a stiff challenge, as I mentioned, for all the players over there, but particularly for Bumrah on two counts. One as captain, but even more importantly as the bowler.
Yeah. See, for other sports, for example, in football, you say the match fitness aspect. You can practice all you want, but match fitness only comes by playing matches. So Absolutely. In cricket, do you think that by having really good net sessions and all that, is there a big difference in terms of a player who's returning from the injury when he gets to perform in matches?
It is. I think it's a very, very important point you've raised, and I think there's no substitute for match fitness. And match fitness is proved not just by passing a yo-yo test or bowling well in the nets and so on and so forth. You have to be some competitive matches. Now, unfortunately, as it has happened, he's not had much time, or there's not been enough time for him to go and prove himself in matches, in the match environment. Because the match environment has two dimensions to it. One is, or three actually. Your physical fitness, obviously your skills, and the third is, of course, how strong you are mentally. And they're all interlinked. Because if you're coming back from a major injury, the fear could be there in your mind. Not, you may be looking or feeling very healthy and very fit, but if mentally you have apprehensions, you have trepidations, then that can cost you a lot. So I think that match fit, but look at it the other way. This is an opportunity for Bumrah to prove that he is now finally match fit after his injury. His match fitness is fine, and therefore he becomes even more strongly eligible for the Asia Cup, which is going to come up, and then the World Cup.
Yeah. So in terms of the World Cup particularly, we only have this Ireland series and the Asia Cup for Bumrah ahead of the World Cup. So with the World Cup in mind, do you think what do you think should be the ideal plan to make him back to his best by the World Cup? Should he play every available match?
Obviously the experts, the doctors and coaches and his fitness and the guys who helped him out of his injury problems and rehab and stuff will be able to give a far better answer. But I would imagine that any bowler at this level getting into the World Cup would want to have as much play time at a very competitive level before getting into the tournament. You can't get into a tournament just out of if it happens like that, perhaps yes. But now that he's fit, he's got these matches against Ireland, does well, remains fit, gets into the Asia Cup, and therefore he is a better prospect going into the World Cup than not having played at all.
Yeah, I think Bumrah firing on all cylinders will definitely be a game changer for India, right?
Oh, absolutely. Look, just to draw a parallel, we saw Johnny Bairstow play in the Ashes now. He has also come back from an injury layoff, which took away months from his, participation. Now, throughout the series, there was this, talk whether he was fit enough to be in the team. Physically, he may have been fit. Was he match fit, as they say? Perhaps there was a bit of a struggle because his keeping was not really up to the quality expected, and there were demands for getting Ben Foakes in instead of Johnny Bairstow as a wicketkeeper and let Bairstow perhaps play as a batsman. So these kind of concerns and considerations will be made, and that's where I think Bumrah, because Bumrah has been, when he was fit before his injury, he was almost an immaculate with preparations for his bowling because he's so unorthodox in his action, in his style, etc. Was the preparation used to be intense and immaculate. Now, has he had enough time to do all of that? That is really the big issue, which is swirling around Bumrah also, and of course Indian cricket.
Well, let's hope that Bumrah is back to his very best by the World Cup. Now, moving on to the India-West Indies tour. So, what is your reading of the tour?
Well, I think, the West Indies were hapless. They won one match, which was, when you look back at the two defeats that they suffered, both very major defeats, that one match almost seemed like an aberration. But there was a bit of a warning signal there to India that you can't be complacent, whatever the opposition. Getting into the World Cup, there are many teams which might look to be weak. For instance, some team like Afghanistan, but they're not going to be a walkover, And remember, West Indies have not even qualified for the World Cup. So I think what kind of baffled a lot of people, perhaps even baffled me a little, was India played all these matches without Rohit and Virat. Now, the argument put forward by Chief Coach Rahul Dravid was that they had to try out everybody, which is true because you've taken the squad there, and I think they've decided more or less who are going to be the certainties for the World Cup. For instance, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli are going to be there certainly. Maybe Shubman Gill, maybe Mohammad Shami, Bumrah if he's fit. But I thought that they could have, perhaps. Even as we talk of Bumrah getting match time and getting into the rhythm for major tournaments ahead, I think somewhere there's a case for even Rohit and Kohli to have got a game each. But perhaps they're waiting for them to play in the Asia Cup. Now that could be. I thought also that Akshar, just getting a very minor look in Akshar Patel was... So, yes, there is a problem of plenty. When you're on tour, you can't play everybody in all three matches. You have to try out who you've got. And in some ways, it has helped because you've got Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson both getting runs. Now, both are competing for a place in the World Cup squad as wicketkeeper batsmen with information coming out that Rishabh Pant may not be fit for the World Cup. So, there is maybe two places are open for wicketkeeper batsmen and one of them can play as a pure batsman later on. All this is in the realm of conjecture now. But I thought that the real kind of, drawback for India in that ODI series was the level of competition wasn't good, barring the second match which West Indies won. The West Indies were just, the performance was just too shallow. So there was no real test. Hopefully there'll be stiff tests coming up in the Asia Cup because that will give India a better assessment of their own strength.
And Dravid spoke about wanting to give others time. So did you think anyone did enough to give the selectors a headache?
Yes, I mean, both these boys did well. Sanju Samson and especially Ishan Kishan, their wicketkeeper batsmen. There was always talk of KL Rahul being a backup wicketkeeper. Now, if both these guys are getting runs and they are specialist wicketkeepers, it puts pressure on Rahul, because Rahul also has to come back from fitness and prove that he is match fit. The other guy who's I think perhaps take the claim is Shardul Thakur. Picked up a bag full of wickets in the last match. Is always a handy batsman. He's a game trier. So the flip side is that a bowler of his kind in Indian conditions, which generally help spinners, do we need one more fast bowler? That's something that the selectors and the team management have to think about.
So finally, coming to the Ashes, a really engaging series this time. That the feeling of Ashes is back. So what did you make of it?
I think it was an absolutely absorbing series. So many highs and lows. There was no. The only rhythm I can define is that it was full of ups and downs, twists and turns, right till the last day. In fact, even in the last hour or last couple of hours, possibly Australia could have won. It could have been a draw. It could have even been a tie, though that seems remote. But finally, England won and squared the series. And there'll be a lot of talk. There has been a lot of talk about baseball, and whether what is it? Is it some great new way of thinking, a new way of playing? Is it idiocy and lunacy and madness? Because remember, in the first Test match, they declared it 393 for 3 or something there on the first day, and with Joe Root not out, and then they lost that match, and they lost the second match. But I think overall, when you look at what's happened, such was the tenor and the texture and the flavor of the series that it had the whole world riveted, and that really is a success that baseball has introduced. Because remember, Australia are World Test champions. They beat India, a strong Indian team. They hammered India at the Oval not too long back, and they had won the first 2 Test matches. From there, for England to come back, I think they have done extremely well, and that is really what is the kind of boost and the energy that Test cricket needed. Now, both Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes have often been chided for saying that we want to kind of give Test cricket a boost. And there are people who say that first you think about winning, and then or you aim at winning rather than making these sometimes diabolical declarations. But I think overall, when you look at the pattern, I think they played to win. I think they got things pretty much right. Some parts they didn't, otherwise they would have won the series. But look how close the series was. Either team could have actually won maybe 3-0,
Yeah.
Or 3-1 or something like that. That close the series was.
Yeah. So would you say this is the best Ashes in recent years?
2005 was a great series also. But at that time, Australia were the best team in the world, as they are now. And England fought really well in England. This time, I think man to man, if you look at the two teams, actually England was no match for Australia, just on paper. Apart from Joe Root and Ben Stokes and Jimmy Anderson, who didn't really fire, Stuart Broad, but a bunch of youngsters who played to potential. Some of the oldies, like Moeen Ali coming in, didn't get too many wickets. 9, I think, in the series, didn't make too many runs, made 1 half century, but he made those crucial runs and took wickets at crucial positions, at crucial times, and helped England win. So I think, and Joe Root, of course, was marvellous, as was Ben Stokes. Injured, didn't bowl, so that was a bit of a handicap for England. But look at the way Zach Crawley played, and Harry Brook, and some of the others who Stuart Broad in his last series. My God, he was magnificent, so competitive, so combative, and so so effective. So I think the idea of best-based baseball was to extract the best, let these guys play to optimum potential, and then see what happens. I think it's based a lot on optimism, this whole baseball thing, that we can do our best. There is a lot that we don't do in our own potential to actualize it, and if we can approach it with a different mindset, then maybe we can compete against the best and perhaps even beat them. That's my reading, general reading of the situation.
Yeah. And it's good that you mentioned optimism, because that's what Indians are now feeling about Bumrah.
Yes.
So hopefully things work out. And I think on that note,
fingers crossed, because look, Bumrah is so crucial to the composition of the World Cup team, even more than the batsmen. I think look at, if you have Bumrah, you have Shami, you have Siraj who bowled very well in West Indies, then your pace attack, you don't have to, think too much. If Bumrah is missing, then there is a scramble as to how do you find that bowler who can pick up early wickets and certainly who will bowl economically, parsimoniously at the death and even pick up wickets. That becomes a challenge and a serious challenge. So if Bumrah is there, I'm hoping that he comes through with this in this Ireland series with with his body holding up and for confidence getting a lot of wickets.
So let's hope for the best. Great discussion, Ayaz.
Thank you.
See you again next week.
Thanks, Karthik. Take care.
Thank you.